Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and guess who's putting the penny back in my bloom? It's Tavares.
Oh, you know, that made my day.
You know what? You made my day by being here. It's been a while, buddy. What's up, Tavares Pennington? How you doing?
It's been a while. Yeah, you know, I've just been grinding, waiting to get back. You know, I've been feeling kind of bad about it. I was like, man, I haven't podcasted in a while, and I need to
see, man.
Even when I'm busy, it's something that I should prioritize. You know?
Nah. You know, you got to do you, and you know, I'm not in school at the moment. You are in school at the moment, and like I've found that not being in school and doing the podcast with nothing but people who are in school, it can be difficult.
Yeah,
that's why I ultimately was like, I'm going to go find 4 other co-hosts to potentially be here at any given point.
Yeah, no, which good on you. Like, we're crossing borders.
Oh, we're over 150 episodes in now.
Crossing borders.
Crossing borders, baby. Making change. We're going fucking national, baby. We got co-hosts in Maryland and other places in Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a joy. Yeah, so right now we're just gonna do some catch up. You know, we haven't gotten together to talk on the podcast in a while. We're gonna talk some movies, talk some TV, maybe some music, what we've been watching, listening to, reading, if applicable. But yeah,
I'll just start my lecture that on Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King.
There you go. No, yeah. So, where you want to start? You want to start movies? You want to start music?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Like, there's been quite a few movies to come out. I feel like we're witnessing all of those movies that probably would have came out closer to the beginning of COVID, or maybe within a year or 6 months. Or so of COVID beginning. Those movies are actually finally coming out now, and you know, it's nice to go back to the movies.
Ooh, I love being at the.
It's nice to go back to the movies.
Nah, yeah, I went back to the movie theater a few times for Shang-Chi, obviously. I think that might have been one of the last times you were on. Was like around that time. Since then, went back to see Eternals a few times, which was also a ton of fun.
Oh, you saw Eternals multiple times?
I saw Eternals also 3 times.
3?
Yeah.
God damn.
Well, no, and so here's the thing. I saw it. It was one of those things where I was like, I saw the critical reception of it, and I was like, okay, so I don't need to feel pressured to go see this opening weekend.
Right.
So like, I waited a couple weeks. It'd been out for a little bit, and I was like, all right. Me and Joe were like, let's go catch a showing. So we went and saw Eternals. It was his second time, my first time. Mm-hmm. And
what did he have to say going into it?
He just told me that like. While he thought that while it was long, the story they were telling probably required a longer movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? If they're eternal, that kind of makes sense.
Eternal movies.
Yeah, you know, go on forever.
Go on forever, why don't you?
Yeah, he wanted to be as loose as possible going into it. He didn't want to give me anything.
You're learning the whole time you watch that movie.
Oh, it's all about what's been going on the whole time.
All of this is new, and they're covering the expanse of the MCU till now.
Pretty much the entire thing.
Yeah, for these different characters.
Yeah, and I really, really enjoyed the movie. And that was the thing, is that like the first time I went and saw it in IMAX, and I was like, okay, yeah, this movie's dope. I visually, it was super entertaining. Like, I think to Shang-Chi, like, I love that movie.
Yeah.
But there was points in it where I was like, when I was in the movie theater, where I was like, man, this is a long movie.
This is a long one,
We're like I didn't feel that during Eternals. I genuinely was like, it wrapped up, and I was kind of in a place where I was like, obviously, I mean, it's a long movie. There are probably scenes where they could lose some just because of the way the film ends up going.
Yeah.
I don't know why Dane Whitman's in this movie at all, bruh. I love Kit Harington
because he's the guy. What's his name?
Black Knight.
Black Knight. Yeah, he's Black Knight.
Yeah,
and they're gonna build off of that. That's what Marvel does. They drop seeds and they let them grow.
I know,
and it's frustrating sometimes.
Well, I know that's the case, but here's my thing: is that if you're gonna make him a part of this story and be like, oh, the universe is about to get a lot bigger, and you're gonna be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We already have another human who tagged along.
Yeah.
Why ain't Dane Whitman coming along?
That's fair.
I feel like that's a missed opportunity, and you can't hold a movie kind of be like, you should have done this,
and I mean the only way I can think of using Dane Whitman for a major part of the story would have been as some sort of
POV character.
Yeah, some sort of way in for the average human.
And that's kind of where the movie kind of comes to a fault for me, is that there's not a real POV character.
Right.
It's just kind of following events.
But they have how many? 6 Eternals? 7? 8?
Athena, Gilgamesh, Icarus, Cersei, Sprite, Kingo, Phastos, Makari, Druig. 9.
Wow. Yeah, and so it's if they put a 10th character in there, they can have him in there as sort of the POV character, but he still needs a story as an arc as well, and that.
Okay, yeah, you know that's right. Where you've inserted Karun, Kingo's valet, that makes a little bit more sense. He didn't need to be fully fledged out. And he was fledged out enough. You cared about Karun by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
When he thanks... spoilers alert. Spoilers alert for Eternals. We'd done a pretty good job up to this point. I was about to let it slip. Go ahead and fast forward a little bit if you haven't seen Eternals. Whenever Icarus is like, that's that. We gonna do this thing or else y'all gonna die. And Karun's like, thank you guys so much for fighting on the side of humanity. I'm going to go with Kingo, though.
Yeah.
I was like, I love that moment, because that's a very human moment. Shit, man. Yeah, I'd hope you guys would help.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yeah, and I mean, I just think that the length was just truly a result of it being a new movie, and I expect that, I mean, Marvel has enough. They have to, unless a movie absolutely bombs, if they want to continue with it, they probably have the resources to continue with it if they would like to.
Certainly.
And the lore behind this Eternal story specifically is huge. Huge for where the story could
go.
Be going. And where, I mean, I'm at this point, I'm convinced. I'm convinced we're going in a Galactus direction.
Oh, I mean, it seems natural. But
it seems natural.
We got Fantastic Four on the horizon and stuff, and obviously Galactus is an interesting cat to bring into the conversation because, it seems like they're definitely getting us ready for that scale and being accustomed to that sort of oh shit, beings that bigger exist. The thing that's interesting about Galactus is that he's actually not a Celestial.
Yeah.
So it's the way that I could see it going. The theory that I've kind of formulated for Galactus to be tied in. At the end there, and, spoilers are on the table now. If you don't want to get spoilers for Eternals, go ahead and skip ahead a few minutes. When Arishem shows up and is like, all right, y'all did that shit. I see you. Respect. But now we're going to make sure that it was okay.
Yeah.
He takes them and is like, I'm going to review your memories of Earth for judgment to see if they are worth saving. Arishem, the judge. And I think that ultimately, if he comes to a ruling that isn't in our favor, there might be a certain world eater who might need to come and help get rid of it. Enter Galactus.
Okay. Well, still, but So as far as I understand it, Galactus is sort of a character created to I forget the explicit comic origin, but he's a character created essentially to balance the Celestials' power in the universe. And so because the Celestials, each planet or to want to birth new Celestials in order to control more of the universe or for whatever reason. And in order to
create
do that,
more of the universe, and therein create more Celestials just to have a bigger population, I think.
And in order to do that, you have to destroy the whole planet. And that was Arishem the Judge's goal, right, was to birth Tiamat. And Galactus, I think in the comics at least, was he just sort of eats shit, like eats plant, like the Planet Eater thing. Yeah.
No, like it's
and so, well, I'm just wondering if he is trying to
prevent,
if he would come for just, if he doesn't even give a fuck about the people on Earth, he just finds Tiamat very tasty, or the half.
You know, that's a fair point too. He might just be like, "Ooh, snack."
Yeah. And then Earth's mightiest heroes are like, "No,
prevent this dude from getting his meal, bro." No, it's absolutely insane that Galactus is as big a potentiality and like
yeah, and the thing is, they're going to have their own interpretation of the character, certainly, of course, and it can go a lot of different ways.
See, because for me, like, they're obviously going to make this character a little bit more emotionally resonant, in some way, like, because, like, I'm sorry, but the dude who's just hungry isn't a compelling villain.
Yeah,
there's usually no rhyme or reason to why Galactus goes and eats planets. It's just homie needs his food, because if he doesn't get his food, he'll die, and that's just like, and like, survival, I guess, is a cool premise to be built upon, but that's why the Silver Surfer is so important. And like, that's why for me, whenever the story of Galactus is brought up, the most important aspect of the story is whether the Silver Surfer is with him or not.
And I think that will, the Fantastic Four movie, a lot rides on that, because I agree, the Silver Surfer is gonna be very he's gonna be our introduction to Galactus.
I would hope so, and that's just like the way that I've always, like, it's, I think we're at a point now where the Marvel Universe might be ready for like a Silver Surfer.
Oh yeah, they've done enough
they've done enough weird shit now, because his whole origin, where he was just a citizen on a planet called Zenla, this race that had mastered peace. Nobody fighting, we chilling, everybody's cool. Sort of like a source of inspiration for the rest of the galaxy. And then Galactus shows up one day. It's like, sorry, snack time.
Snack time. You're mine.
And you know,
I've been looking at you from 2 galaxies away.
This man Norin Rad, he stands up and he's like, dude, nah. Don't eat this planet, and then you can like take me as your herald, and I'll find planets for you to eat. You won't even have to look anymore. You can just like, I'll do it for you.
I'll just send up the bat signal, and you just come flying.
And like, you know, the whole conflict there, like on the planet.
What does that even look? Because, you know, like in the old Fantastic Four movies, that's why there's like, some people were kind of like, what the fuck is this? Because Galactus was like this like fucking cloud,
shadowy cloud with orange lightning, and
but like they were probably like, so guys, what does he look like? And they're like, well, he's a giant who floats through space and eats planets. And they're like, we can't do that.
No, see, that's the thing, is that like, it's gonna, like, whenever they do bring it to life, the reason the Celestials work for me is because they don't have faces.
Yeah.
Galactus has a whole chin, nose, mouth that you can see.
That shit, that could be the Uncanny Valley type shit. You see a face that big in space. It was just like, oh, that's terrifying.
No, bro, if I am on Earth and a giant face shows up outside the atmosphere. Yeah,
it's literal.
Good enough.
What if they did it like that? They took some inspiration from.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, no, I think that that would be really funny.
It would be It would be super funny. But I think that that could be like 6 years away.
That could
which is like that's what's just so crazy about planning for the Marvel universe is that like everybody's theory about all these characters will at some point in some way sort of come around if it's like within reason. You know what I'm saying? Like you're making a theory based on a character who hasn't shown up at all. Mm-hmm. Like obviously, like it's going to be
somewhat correct.
It's all hearsay, but like
they read the comics.
Like you know what's in general supposed to be coming, and if it doesn't, for me, that's a welcome change. You know, I like not knowing what's coming. Sorry.
Yeah.
So like that's why whenever people are like, it's not comic accurate, I'm like, okay, it's cool when stuff's comic accurate. But just because something isn't comic accurate doesn't make it inherently bad.
Right.
You've got to also evaluate it for its own merit, separate from the comic book.
There's just so many opinions on it, though, and like honestly, a lot of misunderstanding about like, and this is why I think they emphasize the universe thing like so much amongst, and this is probably a development of the past like 5 to 7 years.
Right.
Is really this focus on like. No.
World building.
These are like, yes, these characters exist somewhere else. This is my universe. My universe is number 555.
Right.
Because I picked it. This is mine.
I feel you.
But I want to know, have you heard this theory about Thanos? Thanos possibly justified in killing half the population to avoid Galactus.
Well, to avoid Tiamat.
Oh, yeah, Tiamat. You're right.
Yeah. And like...
that's what it was. That was the theory I heard, was that the emergence of Tiamat would attract Galactus.
Well, yeah, and I got that from what you said. I got that from what you said.
Okay.
Not so expressly, but early on, you'd said something that I was like, okay, that was the direction you were going with it. And that would make sense, because like, you know, like... like celestial power bursting forth from a planet's got to attract the attention of some celestial beings, or beings of that sort of higher power. But yeah, I have seen that like if Thanos was, you know, turning back the clock a little bit.
Y'all can't see it, but I love the eye look where you just kind of. I do. There's a logic there.
No, yeah, there's definitely a logic there. It's just like for me, it's like. For what, a couple 100 years?
Yeah, right. Of course, that in the long run, not worth it, and honestly, just not compelling as a story.
Right.
Sorry, Thanos. It doesn't make for a good comic story for half the population to be blinked out of existence, and that just be the way it is.
But I mean, like, it would also be cool if there was like some sort of retroactive confirmation that Thanos knew that's how that worked.
Yeah.
So that it's like it's not like his primary motivation, but it's just kind of like. Another dub, you know, like he's just like
well, but yeah, but it is interesting, like when you think of, because I mean, Thanos' characters, like, you know, he stands out because he really wasn't a vengeful person. He wasn't like he
was just doing what he felt needed to be done.
He was doing what he needed to be done. Once he did that, he went and lived out in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Destroyed the stones. The stones served their purpose, you know. Like so I use the stones to destroy the stones.
Right, and. That's you know, one version of the character, but I agree that if they were gonna go that route, or if they confirm that down the line, then they probably should have they could have added more new one, because like Thanos' motivations are never really explained, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna balance the universe.
There is and like it is important that I did just give Infinity War and Endgame a rewatch a couple weeks ago.
I haven't watched those in like
no, and like it's while you were talking, I was thinking about when I watched it. There are several things that I've misremembered about the movies.
Really?
Yeah, just because there's so much content there. You know what I'm saying? And
they'll do flashbacks in Hawkeye
to the real shit.
And I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
No,
scene.
yeah, like there's a scene where like it's in Infinity War where like you see Wakanda like blow up.
Yeah.
and I saw that in Hawkeye, and it caught my eye for the first time. I was like, I don't remember that shit at all.
I had forgotten about Hulk wielding the Infinity Stones entirely.
Yeah,
that was a big thing.
Yeah, no, that's something that we talk about in our Marvel character tournament, me and Joe, because we're like, Hulk gets did dirty. Nobody remembers shit Hulk does.
Literally.
But Thanos, his motivations are are pretty explained in Infinity War when we go to Titan, his home planet, and it's in ruins, and he shows them kind of what it was once upon a time, but the bureaucracy of the way they worked was too slow. They couldn't get anything done. They thought his methods were crazy and stuff, so he was just like, fine, y'all see, and then the planet fell into shambles and they lost everything because they couldn't get their resources properly allocated.
So he was just mad over politics.
Basically. Yeah, he was just kind of like, he was basically the most interesting and obviously most widespread version of like authoritarian regime there is, because he was just like, and not even a regime, he was just like, I don't know, like the whole thing where he just thinks the resources will naturally get allocated once half the people are there is interesting.
Ridiculous,
yeah. Just kind of lacks logic.
Especially because he actively doesn't want to take part in that part of the process.
Kind of a hypocrite that way.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just going to do the dirty work, kill everyone, and then you all will be better off because I said so. And I'm going to go sit away from everyone else.
Y'all figure that out though. Yeah, so like, I never thought about that. That's like, man, you about that.
Yeah.
What's funny is, like, I know he killed half the population, but he's still all talk.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess that's part of making his character more complex. Or it seemed at the time, but in hindsight, there are definitely some ways to look at it.
It's just kind of like, excuse me?
Were you all just manipulating us?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Is that it? Was that all?
You were just trying to confuse us. Because, like, I seriously doubt they're going to Thanos is a tired concept at this point.
Oh, no. Yeah, what's done is done. They're not going to...
They're probably not going to revisit.
Not for real. The only place I think we'll see him revisited in any capacity is What If, because it's already been done a couple times.
Right.
But not, like, expansively. You get a 30-minute episode. Thanos is kind of a part of it. He's not the subject of it, but, like... Yeah. You see other scenarios where Thanos was involved.
Right.
But no, I want to get back to the, like, shit I did not remember.
Okay.
I remembered, Thanos comes back from the past at the end of Endgame and is like, so I haven't done this shit yet, but now I see that from you guys that, I thought you would rise to the occasion. Be like, all right, we've lost half our people. All the resources need to get allocated. I thought you guys would be on that ship, but now you've made me realize, that's just not the case.
And so he wants to kill everyone.
And now he wants to kill everyone. Wipe out the universe down to its last atom and then rebuild with the stones they'd collected for him. And when I rewatched that this time around, I went, that kind of takes the sting out of things for me. Just like
he's just a villain. He's just a conventional villain at that point.
He's just a bad dude at that point. And like that's something that like has always kind of rubbed me the wrong way about Endgame, and is something that makes Infinity War just objectively a
better movie,
much better movie.
Yeah. I still can't get behind the pacing of Endgame, and I've seen it probably maybe two times since I originally watched it. Not recently, but every time I watch it, I'm like, this pace is ridiculous for a movie like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, like the Eternals, they had a lot of shit to cover. They had a lot of characters to incorporate. But, yeah, I don't know. I do agree that Infinity War is probably just a better movie overall than Endgame.
And watching them back to back, it was just like even more emphasized to me just how much better it was, because it felt like to me, and like this isn't a fault of the movie because they've obviously built something that's so awesome and so loved by millions. Like people love the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
right.
But it feels like Endgame's more of a love letter to the whole universe as a whole. as it stood instead of like actively trying to push a story forward.
Yeah.
Like Infinity War was. Like Infinity War was purely like shit's going bad for our characters. Nobody should be happy right now, you know. But it was like going like it was still just so well done.
They have the Thanos was right mug in the last
Hawkeye episode.
I'm wondering how big of a thing that might be happening socially in the world.
I mean, like people meme the shit out of stuff, you know. But like I got it, and ultimately, I was thinking about this when I saw that the Thanos was right mug. People got to have a sense of humor about it now, right?
Yeah.
Nobody died.
Everyone came back.
Nobody died.
Everyone came back. Yeah. I mean,
well, and like it sucks for the people who were there. Like, it's like that was terrible.
I mean, yeah, right. And that's kind of the perspective that Hawkeye has, which is like, no, the blink was really bad for me. Like, you don't understand.
No,
like,
yeah, the blip was a rough
serial killer status bad for me. Like,
no, and I will say that last episode of Hawkeye, it's one of my favorite episodes of Marvel Disney Plus television so far. But also, it addresses everything I've ever needed to be addressed by this character.
Exactly, and it's all in one place.
And it's all in one place.
As soon as Kate comes, like when he's putting the ice on or the frozen margaritas on, and then Kate comes in, I was like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for the whole show. Was like a genuine like
heart to heart, sit down.
Right.
And another thing I love what they've done with this series is there isn't, thank the fucking Lord, a hint of sexual tension. Which is fucking great. Thank the fucking Lord they didn't try to do anything there. And I didn't anticipate them to, obviously. It's not at all what they do comics-wise. But, like, he says it in this last episode. Yeah, we're working together. Sounds weird because it is.
Yeah.
Like, he's a 45-year-old man with a 22-year-old woman. Obviously, it's gonna be like, this is awkward. But the way that he says the most dad shit to her.
Yeah, literally.
Like, the dog runs into the apartment there, sticks his head in the bowl, and, like, he doesn't do anything about it, just kind of, like, swats and goes, get out of there. Like, that was the most dad shit I've ever seen in my life.
Hawkeye's great.
You need to get some rest. You got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, I love that shit.
Yeah,
you know?
It is pretty cool.
No, and it's the first time in the MCU where, like, I'm compelled by Hawkeye's character. I've always been pretty underwhelmed. Like, you know, it's a cool character in the comics, and it should have been expanded on a little bit better, but it just hasn't been.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, off mic, you said that you do like the actor. That's always been one of my gripes with with Hawkeye, is that I'm not a fan of Jeremy Renner.
Okay.
Jeremy Renner's tough for me to get behind, but he's done so well in this series that I've been like, okay. And like another thing for me that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, was just Endgame's typically what people point to for him, like in terms of performance. I'm just not feeling it there.
Okay.
He's got a couple cool moments in Age of Ultron that I like, but the whole like, oh, my family died, I'm gonna go murder hundreds of people. I always, and like, that's
the tracksuit mafia.
Yeah,
which is,
you know,
I can't believe, like, I
bros.
That's just so
Come
fun.
on, bro.
And I think that I feel like the tracksuit mafia, I've seen them in relation to Spider-Man somewhere else, I'm sure. But I never realized that their name was the Tracksuit Mafia.
Right. They're like, yeah, it's pretty on the nose.
Pretty on the nose.
We're a mafia. Guess what?
We wear tracksuits.
We wear tracksuits. No, I do love that inclusion though. And like, it's just like, that's what's been most fun about the series is like, you know, you set off, Mike, the theme, you know, like the Christmas of it all really, really sells it, really ties it all together. Yeah. But then on top of that, like the diehard loyalty to what the comic books have kind of presented to them prior to this.
Yeah.
Is really appealing to a lot of Hawkeye fans. And I think it's important for a character like Hawkeye, who thus far in the MCU has not been really based in his comics. Like, semi at moments it felt that way, but like hardly ever. And
he felt like an MCU. He felt like the human of the Avengers, you know, like what he really was in a lot of ways.
And like because you had characters like Steve and Tony Stark and Thor
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Clint Barton's going to take a backseat to these guys. Like, he's not going to be the main character in these movies, and I think Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye are damaged because of it, their portrayals, but ultimately it never bothered me with Hulk or Black Widow. I don't know what it was about Hawkeye, but I was just like, man, fuck Hawkeye.
I always just thought he had potential. I don't know. I feel like he is. It's more just the bow and arrow thing, like that really appeals to me. Like, you know how fucking like,
oh, that's so cool.
That shit's hard.
And this was another thing for me, and I've told this to Joseph before. I really, really, really fuck with Oliver Queen's Green Arrow portrayal in The Arrow.
Yeah. So
if I really fuck with another guy wielding a bow and arrow, I know for a fact y'all can do better.
Yeah.
Because y'all built on the same shit, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it in the right way. And that may be the way that... Because, like, the comics is not... He's not... Hawkeye is very different than Oliver Queen. But MCU Hawkeye is probably a lot closer to Oliver Queen.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think that... also, I got to mention about the Hawkeye show, like, that action sequence in episode 3... in the car.
Oh, buddy, when he pulled out the Pym particle arrow and he fired that bitch and it became huge, I dead ass yelped. Yeah. Like, I was one of my favorite MCU moments there's been so far, just from like a pure like action satisfaction.
That was
place.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
The camera shit they were doing were like it just the 360 angle,
like a one take.
Yeah.
Like I was like utterly blown away. I was like, "What?"
I was like, "This is fantastic."
This is like amazing. Whoever directed this shit, like, you need an award for this.
Bro, that
scene.
was fucking fantastic.
This scene alone.
Do we have more trick arrows? There are no more trick arrows, like in the world. Well, and like when he was like, "Yeah," basically, I was like, "Why not? Who was making the trick arrows?"
That's what I was thinking too.
like you're the guy with the bow and arrow. Like you're not the one making the trick and arrows.
Trick arrows, like what the fuck?
That shit where he snapped the bottle cap.
That shit was dope. I do want to ask you though about a different show, coming up, the She-Hulk show.
Ooh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm ready for it. I think that one will be really good.
When is it coming out?
That one, I don't know if that one has a nailed down release date yet.
Okay, they have a trailer though, right?
Yes, they had like a little teaser trailer that they did for Disney Plus Day and stuff. I'm real excited for that because she's gonna, apparently gonna break the fourth wall and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently, because like in the comic book, she did it before Deadpool, even. Like she's like the OG fourth wall comic book.
Oh shit!
Breaker.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and apparently she's gonna like directly address like Kevin Feige during the show, which is just like a fun little detail. But
that is funny.
I think it's going to be a good opportunity to potentially reinvigorate Mark Ruffalo's Hulk character.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the thing that, I mean, like, I hate to be like, it's a show about She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters is going to be a cool character, and I'm sure that it's going to be fantastic. But boy, oh boy, does Hulk need a revamp.
Hulk does need. I mean, Professor Hulk was the beginnings of, I think, a really good revamp. It
was the signs that they're trying new shit. The thing for me that sucked about that was last we saw him before Endgame, they were in a terrible place. They were not getting along at all. They couldn't figure shit out.
Mm-hmm.
They pop back up. We're chilling. We're fine. It's like, you're doing Hulk dirty here. Give him a story. Tell us how it happened.
Yeah, tell us.
And maybe that's what happens in She-Hulk, and that's why.
Sure
and that's why I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and this is what. Like, these shows, you couldn't do these shows without the expansiveness of the universe that was already set up through the numerous movies. But the shows are such an effective means of continuing the story, like, and continuing it in ways that are, like, that are meaningful, like, not just like money, like troves. Like they actually have a legitimate story that they're telling at the same time.
Oh, because they're not money troves.
Yeah.
Like to my understanding, I don't know how royalties and stuff work in terms of money making for Disney Plus and streaming and stuff, but it's not the box office. There's a reason people don't want their movies going directly to streaming. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that most of these shows are probably taken at a financial loss on paper. It's just like the other ways it enhances marketing and tooling for, you know, future movies and stuff. Like it's basically all just building brand. Yeah. Which is like in terms of a business perspective. Like it's just kind of like, well, we just need to keep putting shit out because people want Marvel things.
Right. And like I've kind of been wondering, should we hate Kevin Feige? Because
dude, I've been like,
his name gets put on everything, and I feel like there are other people who should be taking some credit.
I love that you're bringing up this shit because I have these thoughts and never bring them up with anyone else besides Emily.
Yeah,
bro, his name popped up at the end of Hawkeye. It said produced by Kevin Feige, PGA, and I was like, well, fucking duh. We all know that by now.
Who directed this shit, though? Because Kevin Feige surely was not there when they filmed this scene, or maybe even when they were writing this scene.
Right.
Like, other people have to be doing this, and why are they not like treating this as its own show? They're like, I get that it's in the Marvel universe, but like you can't just throw. I get he's the figurehead for Marvel, but he's not Stan Lee, for God's sake.
No, yeah, it's really interesting though, because like obviously there is a team, and they do need a face, and I'm sure those people who are a part of that team really appreciate that Kevin Feige's the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, at times. Yeah. There are certainly times where they're like, they probably are still getting as much hate as they are love, just because the internet exists. So, like, at times when Marvel's down bad, it's on Kevin Feige. At times when Marvel's up good, it's on Kevin Feige.
It's on Kevin Feige.
But the recent shit where he's been like doing interviews and stuff for the Spider-Man No Way Home presser, where he answered questions about like Charlie Cox, and like I just get this air of like he just knows he's better than me. He just knows it.
Literally. Like, and I mean, he's on top of the world. Like,
he is on top. Like,
he should be.
Of course, you feel that way. You run in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like people give you practically sole credit for that.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, right. And it's like, I don't know. I'm because there's still a business to this thing. And
and he's still he's a 50-year-old white CEO.
Right.
He's got to be a little
fits the
rough.
mold a little too well.
Yeah.
A little too well.
Kind of charming. People like him.
Kind of charming. People like him. He's a charismatic white male. That's actually, I listened to a really good podcast on that called Utopian about different attempts at utopia, and and they're sporadic. Like Disneyland is one. Yeah. Fucking Jamestown is another. Like Biosphere 2 is, they tried to create an Earth on Earth. Like they're really like different and diverse examples,
but they all represent the same thing.
Well, they all have one thing in common: a charismatic white male. Is the leader and abuses their power.
Yeah, it's almost a certainty at any given point. So at this point, my beef with Kevin Feige at times is that I just feel like he's blowing himself.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude.
I do too. I'm like, you know, I don't have a reason to dislike you,
but I'm kind of not fucking with you these days.
I know, like, I want to know.
And I'm wondering if that just makes me a hater.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know. And here's the thing, like, obviously, I don't have any personal insight on Kevin Feige or anybody else we may talk about on this podcast, but you know, I can confidently say he thinks he's better than everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I probably would too.
I certainly would.
You
can't. I mean, like,
he was probably the one who came up with the whole phase system. He was like, "This is how we do it, phases," and then everyone was like, "Phases, yes, this is amazing," and he was like, "Fuck yeah, put my name on everything."
Another thing that's interesting though, and like, I don't know if I was just like old enough to finally grasp the phase concept at a certain point, like until I was like 15. But at that point, there was practically 2 phases of Marvel that had already existed.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really familiar with the phase system until phase 3.
Yeah, me either.
Was the
most
phase
people weren't.
therein? My question is, was the phase system even implemented before phase 3?
Oh no, they come up with the shit as they go. You know, like they didn't. Disney didn't even buy Marvel until after Iron Man came out.
Yeah.
Like they were like, we'll watch from afar. It went up. They were like, all right. These are all going to be really valuable characters. Any fucking moron can tell you that. we're gonna buy all of them.
Yo, and they're racking it all up. Before long, we'll have the X-Men, Fantastic Four. It'll all be here.
It's gonna be insane, and I mean, you know, I can't deny I love it.
Oh,
I love the fuck out of it. But you know, I don't want to love it so much where it, because I think that a lot it could get to the point where it's like, and Star Wars is kind of getting to this point where it's hard to critique Star Wars in a lot of ways, or it's either hard to critique Star Wars or it's hard to like Star Wars. Like, everyone is like, either this is amazing, how can you hate it, or
it's
they're
the
like,
fandom. It's the problem. It's literally the problem with anything with a following.
Yeah.
Tell me why half the people out there don't like J. Cole. Because of J. Cole fans, bro.
Yeah.
Because of J. Cole fans, bro. Tell me why people aren't out here liking NBA YoungBoy. You know exactly why. It's because of NBA YoungBoy fans. I mean, like, there's probably a little bit more reason there, but you know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It happens in all things. And like, I remember we went to high school with somebody who would not listen to Frank Ocean. Said fuck Frank Ocean. Everybody loved Frank Ocean. I don't fuck with him.
Yeah.
They listened to Frank Ocean. They loved it.
Because he just makes good music.
Exactly. So, it happened. It definitely happened with Star Wars. Star Wars is a hellscape in terms of the fandom. People either love it or they absolutely despise it.
Yeah.
And frankly, I'm at a point where, like, the problem for me is the amount of people who spend so much energy and time on stuff they don't like within the fandom.
I know.
It's like, bro, okay, I get it. You don't like the sequels. Keep talking about the originals and the prequels then. Jesus Christ, let people like what they like and you can do your thing too.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I mean, once money's involved, it all gets fucked up.
It all gets fucked up
because everyone's trying to. It's all about, like, I don't know. There's this weird thing that I think is happening, and like, you know, it kind of with that video that we were watching earlier about like how they're modernizing characters. Like, it is. I don't know. It's almost dystopic in a way. Like, it's like a version of ourselves from outside of ourselves.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. There's always been that problem though with, like, within media in general. Yeah. For me, it's like the concept itself of, like, even having actors. That's fucking crazy.
That is wild.
We have people who literally act like other people.
It is one of the oldest art forms known to man.
Yeah,
like, literally one of the first things that people, when they got together, decided to do was act out shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's because, you know, I mean, Tyrion says it in the finale of Game of Thrones. What's more important than story, you know? And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
Everyone wants a good story.
Everybody wants
And it all comes full circle.
It all comes full circle. Speaking of, I just want to, we're getting pretty close to when I have to wrap up here. So I want to address something in the not so near future, but something I would like to do. House of the Dragon.
When is that coming out?
A couple months.
Okay.
It's like May, I think.
Okay.
April, May is kind of like the timeline. That
we're definitely getting it on that.
That's a week by week.
Okay, bet.
Episode breakdown thing we'll be doing.
Yeah.
I like, from where I'm sitting, that's a deal. And like, I kind of want to get mapped out because this year we were kind of unorganized in, you know, we started with the Mandalorian rewatch at the end of 2019, then we did WandaVision, then the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Loki, and then the Bad Batch simultaneously with Loki, and it got kind of messy. So like, and that was a product of us being like, we're going to cover everything.
Yeah.
So I'd like to kind of get a feel for what's going to come out. And then decide based on time frame what we're going to cover.
Right.
Instead of feeling like we have to cover everything. And I think the House of the Dragon will fall in a gap where we'll be able to just talk about it for hopefully 10 weeks. If it's 10 episodes, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Book of Boba Fett, more pressingly, will be coming up soon. So we'll be doing
comes out this month, right?
Yeah, December 29th.
I'm rewatching The Mandalorian right now.
Ooh.
And
Fuck
in
yeah.
light of that.
Fuck yeah, baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, you know, we'll be doing the Book of Boba Fett thing week to week. So if you're ever wanting to come on that, just let me know, and you'll certainly have a spot. But I'm conflicted because we've got that other 2022 project, and December 29th being the premiere. We typically did, if episodes came out on Wednesdays, we wanted the podcast up by Fridays, so they had the whole week. Mm-hmm. But we also have another project set for every Friday already.
Right.
So it's like, what are we going to do? Might just have like double features for a few weeks.
Yeah, we're going to put out more episodes, I guess.
2 episodes every Friday from the Penny Bloom podcast at the beginning of 2022. Everybody wins.
Or we could, just do it. Maybe you could just do a doubleheader, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, man. I knew it was supposed to be like movie, music, TV, potentially, and then we just, obviously I'll talk about Marvel all fucking day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was glad to have you back here, buddy.
It was great to be back.
It was so wonderful. I missed you so much.
Just free flowing.
Oh yeah, and sometimes it's just got to be that.
It's just got to be that. And
since we'll both be more free throughout the next few weeks, presumably, this certainly will not be the last time in this foreseeable future, anyway, that we'll be hearing from.
Yes, indeed.
The Penny of Penny Bloom.
Yes, indeed. I have attained my communications degree.
There you
majority of my stress is behind me.
It's gone.
Well, I guess I don't have it, but I'm gonna get it.
You're basically there.
They owe it to me at this point.
Give me my money. But yeah, man, this was the Penny Bloom podcast. Was I, Colton Robertson, joined by the magnificent Tavares Pennington. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And all of you out there.
Thank you for listening to the Penny Bloom podcast. NPR style sign off, if you would. Head to patreon.com/CoralBloom where you will.
You should get that down. No,
I should. NPR style sign off. Head to patreon.com/CoralBloom where you'll find over 20 hours of exclusive content exclusive to the patreon.com/CoralBloom. Follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPod and Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. And remember, peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves.